Hi, I'm Jalen Rose, and welcome to the Renaissance Man podcast, proudly presented by the New York Post, a show where we cover trends in fashion, entertainment, current events, and everything in between. My next guest is a music legend, rapper, entrepreneur, who's made a name for himself as a chart-topping artist, not only in rap, but R&B as well, plus has been a recipient of so many awards: MTV, VMA, BET, GQ. He's also the founder of ICONN Media, a live streaming entertainment marketplace. Its next Vibes concert is on September 28th, featuring the legendary, iconic Big Daddy Kane. Again, on the ICONN Live Music app and Apple TV. It is my honor to welcome the great Rule, baby! Ja Rule to the Renaissance Man podcast.
Man, thanks for having me, my brother, for sure, for sure.
It's my pleasure. You're a young legend, and I know your story, but I want to make sure we introduce the audience who probably don't know your backstory. So tell me, what was it like for you growing up in Hollis, Queens?
Ah, man, come on, man. Historical Hollis, Queens.
Yes.
You know, that's home of the legendary Run DMC. And, you know, those guys were so influential on my career, my life, everything. You know, but you know, Jalen, it's crazy because, you know, it's like when you come from the hood, you see, you got both sides of the fence. You know, so of course, you know, there was other very influential figures in my neighborhood that were doing not so, you know, positive things, but they were also having success. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it was a beautiful thing, a blessing for me as a young child, a young kid, to not only, you know, see that part of success, you know, street success, but also have these dope young brothers, young Black brothers doing something very positive, but also had the swag and the coolness, you know, to make me want to go that route as well. So big up to Jam Master Jay, you know, God rest his soul, man, because many people don't know, but if it wasn't for Jam Master Jay, we'd be still dressing like Rick James
and Cameo,
like the mother in the hip hop scene. So big up to JMJ for bringing in that hip hop swag that we know of today, you know, and Run DMC and them for being that influence on a young dude like me, you know?
Absolutely. So you mentioned it, and Biggie once said it classically: either you sling, crack, rock, or you got a wicked jump shot. So for you during your
jump shot.
Exactly. Already. That's why that stuck with me. And so for you, talk to me about like your childhood, like where you grew up, and how was it like for elementary school and middle school and like high school? Talk to me about those years of your life.
Yeah, you know, I grew up, you know, in the 80s, so it was heavily crack cocaine era, and every corner, every kid's selling crack on every corner. It was like getting a job at McDonald's at the time. You know what I mean? It didn't really register what we were doing or how we were destroying our communities doing this. You know, it was just like a fad, like the thing to do. And so I grew up in that era. And just imagine that, you know what I'm saying, Jay? I know you did too. You know, but the ball players, you know, y'all were more protected in a different way because y'all were like the guys who were gonna make it out or could make it out or had the opportunity to make it out. You know, if like you said, you gotta, you know, selling crack rock, you got a wicked jump shot, or you could spit a bar or two. You know, so those became our gateways out of the ghetto. And thank God, man, for hip hop. I say it all the time. You know, thank God for the NBA and these, you know, NFL. You know, for being able to showcase, you know, Black young talented men that, you know, because we don't have the same opportunities as some of these other, you know, young people out here in the world. You know, our white counterparts, where they get that educational, you know, head start. We start out playing sports. We start out, you know, rapping and entertaining, singing, and doing those things that are very low economic things to do with your family and friends. You know what I mean? And so those things become things we become very good at, and those become our strong suits. So, I thank God that they become big industries where we can now make a lot of money and funnel that money back to the communities. And now kids can have other opportunities, and not just that. It can be doctors and lawyers and all of these other great things. So, when I look at where I come from and how I came up, I'm blessed that I came up in that era, because I think that era built a lot of hustlers, and that's why you see guys like me and Jay and Diddy and all these guys that came up in there, yourself, that came up in this era. We're entrepreneurs in that aspect too, because we were hustlers first.
Absolutely. And being from the hood shows you how to be a multi-hyphenate, even if you don't realize it. You can't just do one thing. You got to have multiple hustles. And so even though I was playing ball, and even though you were rapping, that wasn't necessarily paying the bills then. So you have to find other ways to still make ends meet while you're chasing your dream. So what was it like for you as a basketball player? At least people can see, oh, he's kind of tall, or he scored X amount of points in the game last night. But as an artist, a lot of times people really don't believe in your vision until it happens. So what was it like when you started to want to be a rapper, and what kind of response did you get when people realized that that's something you wanted to pursue?
Yeah, it was tough. My own mama told me, listen, I know you're trying to do this rap thing. I had just had my daughter. She was like, you got a daughter now. Maybe you go get a real job, and what's so crazy, Jalen? I always remember that moment, and it sticks with me very, very, it sticks to my heart, because in that moment, I looked at my mom, I looked in her eyes, and I said, Mom, I'm nice. Like, I'm one of the good ones. Like, I'm gonna, I don't know any other way to explain this. This is a new thing, and there's not a lot of, I get it, successful rappers that make a lot of money. But I was trying to let her know at that moment, like, I'm one of them. I'm one of the other dudes that could do this at a high level. And so I'm happy I was able to make good on that promise to my mother.
Absolutely. So what rap, what freestyle, what song, what moment did you recognize that everybody else now realizes that I'm really talented and I can make rap and be in an entrepreneur career?
It wasn't so much the verse or the song that I made, so much as it was the voice that was coming out of this little body, and the energy that I gave when I was spitting, the passion that I gave when I was spitting them lyrics. When people actually got a chance to see me, they were like, that's him. You know what I'm saying? And so it was, because back in them days, it was like you hear a person on a mixtape, whatever, you may hear about it, rappers and getting in ciphers and stuff like that. But then, you don't really see them. It was like the first time I seen X and Jay, it was like, oh, these are the guys, you know what I'm saying? And so, I know that was the big thing with me. When people seen me and met me, they were like, holy shit, I didn't know that voice was coming out of this little dude. And I'm 5'9", Jalen. I ain't the biggest dude, but I carry a big voice, man, to the table.
Absolutely, a trademark voice. Like, your voice is trademark, just like in singing. Barry White, he has a trademark voice. Like Jada Kiss has a trademark voice. Yeah, exactly. So for
Jada's another one with raspy.
Right, exactly. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got those unique voices. And so for you, when did you started taking rhyming serious to where it's like, I'm gonna live in the studio, I'm going to do this for a living. Like, I'm going to make sure that what I told my mother is actually going to happen?
After I had my daughter, I think everything kind of hit me all at once. And I had just caught a case at that time too. I caught a gun and drug case at that time. So it was like it was happening simultaneously. I had my daughter, I was still going through the case. And it was like wake up call. It was like, what are you really gonna do? What are you making of your life at this moment? You have this talent, you're not really giving it your all. What happens if you give 120, 160% of your time to this? You know, and people already were saying I was good at what I was doing, but I wasn't applying myself in that way. You know, it's crazy because, you know, I used to play ball, Jalen, and that's why I respect what y'all do at a different level, because I thought I was applying myself to that. I used to sleep with my basketball. I'd be out playing in the rain.
Yeah, got
you know
to. No doubt.
Like, all of that. But it still couldn't get to the level of what it is to be anywhere near not even a D1 college player. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it's like you respect that, you know, and so I wanted to give hip hop that. I wanted to give myself to hip hop the way I did to basketball and to athletics, you know, and so I did. I lived in the studio. I did nothing else but write rhymes, putting together songs, concepts, you know, and that's all I did. And, you know, it paid off in the long run, you know, it really did.
It paid off in a way that these two words by you ring in my ears. It's murder. like that literally rings in my ears from so many classic albums, so many classic songs. Shout to Irv Gotti. Talk to me about the formation. Yeah. Talk to me about you guys' beginnings, which led to Murder Inc.
Man, such a great time in our lives. You know, Gotti was just hungry, looking for dope new talent, and you know, we all from Hollis, and so you know, that's kind of how I got in the mix and got with Gotti, because you know, he was like going to talent shows and finding artists like Mike Geronimo, and him and Mike got together and started making music, and they had the record real, and it was starting to get airplay, you know, on the radio, and I'm just a young dude in Hollis, and I'm like, damn, man, this is dope. And my man Chris Black, he knew Irv, so he actually started going to the studio with Irv and Mike, and they started making like these little mixtapes. He'd bring them to the block and start bragging tapes and playing them for us. And you know, not for nothing, Black was the hustler out the crew. I was the rapper, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, come on, man, bring me to the studio, my. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, he finally brought me down there, and you know, things just instantly clicked. Irv heard me rhyme going crazy on the mic, and he was like, "Yo, I like this dude. This dude is dope. His energy's dope. Why don't y'all form a group?" You know what I'm saying? So we made our group Cash Money Click, and you know, we started making a lot of dope records, and then things went, you know, kind of left. You know, Black got arrested and went to jail for 5 years, and that's, you know, how I got into my solo career and stuff. But you know, the journey is always the journey. I tell kids all the time. They say, you know, what advice would you give me, you know, being a young artist coming up, you know, whatever, in this business? And I always tell them, enjoy the journey, because I never forgot that part. Like, I forget, like, sometimes the accolades, the awards I've won, I forget that, some of that stuff, like, because yeah, it's important and it's dope to achieve that and receive those accolades. But the things that I never forget, man, is the journey. You know, early days, me and X on tour, you know, like Survival of the Illest tour, like before either one of us had a deal. We were just out there, just, you know, with Onyx and these dudes, just raw, grimy, just, you know, just hip hop. It was like, you know, you never forget that shit. So I tell artists, man, enjoy that time, because that's a special time in your career, man. You never get it back, you know?
And I'm glad you gave me that background story, because I didn't realize that's how you ended up going solo. There was also a time as a fan, and I believe it was around the time Belly came out, the fans like myself started to believe you, Jay, and X was going to have an album. Is that true?
So, you know, that was Gotti, man. Gotti wanted that so bad, you know, to put together, you know, because he always, Gotti feels like, you know, me, X, and Jay, we the three illest he's ever met on the touch of mic. And he's entitled to his opinion. You know what I'm saying? But you know, he wanted that to happen, and for us to put that together. And every song that we ever made was dope. You know, from Miss Murder, the Murdergram, you know, me and Jay, Gangsta X and Jay, you know, Money Cash Host. Every joint we ever made. Like, so you just think of as a collective, if we to put those songs together on one compilation or one out, it just would have been pure murder. But it didn't happen. You know, it's always going to be one of those things where people always think about like, what if? You know, I know how I feel. Like, you know, I was like the little man on the totem pole. I wasn't a big star at the time when we were going to do the project, or when Irv wanted us to do the project, and so, you know, I knew what it would have meant for my career. I would have probably always been looked at as the dude that was the third member of It's Murder, you know, of Murder Inc. But also, you know, ascended to great heights, hopefully, you know. But the way it ended up, I think, is the way God intended, you know, for each of us to have our own separate identities and our own separate place in hip hop, you know. So I'm happy that it turned out the way it did. But I do wish we would have did that project. It would have been dope.
Absolutely. So I have to ask you, because you talked about collaborating. You also collaborated with some of the coldest female artists in the game, from Ashanti to J-Lo. So I have to ask you, can you acknowledge your top 5 collaboration songs with women? Because you got so many. Like you and Fab, like I was literally just sitting down thinking, I'm like, you got so many.
Yeah. I like
so
collaborating with the ladies.
Yes.
Because, you know, it's like the yin and the yang, you know what I'm saying, Jalen? Like, my voice is gravelly and rough. And so when you put it with the melodic, you know, voices of the ladies, it has a good blend. But you know, of course, my sis Ashanti, you know, I gotta put her in there. We got so many dope records together. You know, it's not just a one-off with me and her. We got like 5 hits together that are really good records.
Classics.
And that's special. You know what I mean? Like, not a lot of tandems that you can say have that in the history of music. You know, so that's dope. And then, of course, me and Jennifer, we have 2 very big records together.
Yes.
You know, with I'm Real and Ain't It Funny. And then Mary J. Blige, of course, Rainy Days, one of my most favorite records that I ever wrote. And I love Mary. Mary's one of my favorite soulful singers of my era. You know what I'm saying? You know, we ain't gonna go back to Aretha and Whitney, you know, but of my, you know, of my era, she's top for me. And then, you know, so to have that collab, and we have other collabs, which is dope. That really unreleased, like These Streets Raised Me. It's a crazy record. She's singing like, these streets done raised me. Don't turn me off, I'm still your child. It's a dope record, like, you know. So, but yeah, working with Mary is amazing. Who else? Little Mo.
Yes.
Little Mo, man. She's such a beautiful voice.
Yes.
Always brings that dope energy. You know, we got 2 great monster records together, and I Cry and Put It On Me. You know, so yeah, Mo. And then one more I would have to go with. You know, I would say Mariah, but really people don't know the Mariah record like that. So I would put Christine Milian in there in that spot, because the Between Me and You record was a set off for me, you know, in that style of music. You know, she was like really the first record that I put out that was like really like that was me and Christina. So yeah, that would have to be my top 5.
So you know you're a legend, right? When you give me a top 5 of your best collabs and Mariah Carey's on the sideline. just think about that. Just think about that for a second.
And that's blasphemy, because Mariah is like, Mariah is queen, you know, she's the queen out there. So
yes. And that's a salute to you. But I have to ask you this, and we both love and embody hip hop, and there have been some unfortunate circumstances that have taken place with artists. I got a chance to talk to Simba recently about this also.
Big
just
Simba,
about
that's my brother, man. Shout
that's
to
my
Simba.
dog.
He making major moves out here. I love Simba, man.
Me too. That's my guy.
Brother, man.
Yes,
yeah,
indeed.
That's my dude.
So he and I had this conversation about how rapping is a dangerous profession.
Absolutely.
I've seen Jim Jones talk about this. I've seen multiple people talk about this, in particular after multiple murders have happened for different reasons to artists. Most recently, P&B Rock, who was shot and killed in broad daylight. at Waffles Chicken, at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles.
Yeah.
So for you as an artist, what do you think has become the violence or the disrespect toward artists that comes from the public that make people feel like they want to now do a home invasion or to like rob them or hurt them?
Well, look, the first thing I want to do, Jalen, is I want to take it a little bit off of hip hop and put it a little bit more on our culture. Because as great as we are as a culture and beautiful Black people, you know, the dark, ugly truth is this is also a part of our culture. And so, you know, it's been a lot of rappers lately. I get it. But trust me, man, it could be anybody. It's been attempts, you know, you've talked about stories that you've had. And we've known of ball players that have been in situations. So it ain't just about, you know, the genre music, you know, you're in, or it has to do with the skin color and our culture and how we look at each other and view each other. And I think until we really, really want to have the real conversation, Jalen, in which, you know, people are not ready for the real conversations. They want to tap dance around it. You know, I see them that was blaming the young lady for putting the location, this and that. You know, the reality is we shouldn't be robbing and killing each other. I should be able to wear this chain wherever I want to wear it. And my Black brother should salute me for having that. You know what I'm saying? He should want to maybe say, yo,
be
man,
inspired.
Brother, be inspired. You know, how can I get down with what you're doing? Or I have this to offer. How can we collaborate on something to make this, what we doing as a culture, bigger and brighter? That's the conversation we need to be having, because that's the reality of it. It could have been anybody in that store in there with some jewelry on. It didn't have to be PNB Rock. Agreed. It could have been anybody with some fame and with this skin tone, and the result would have been the same. And so I'm like, it's just up. It's unfortunate, but I don't know what needs to happen, Jalen. Man, we need to get together like Muhammad Ali and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yes,
and
Ali Summit, no doubt. Jim Brown, for real.
Jim Brown, and have a real powwow with like the major players in the game. You know, the LeBrons, the Jay-Z's. You know, let's get together and have a real fireside conversation of what this really is. This is our culture we eating ourselves. We cannot continue this and think that we're gonna thrive as a people. And that's, you know, that's just from me to everybody out there. And this is 46-year-old Ja Rule talking. I get it. You know what I mean? I was the guy screaming this murder. I get it. But there's a time when you gotta look in the mirror and say, yo, enough is enough. We gotta clean up the way we look at each other, the way we celebrate each other, everything. That's why I love the way we've been kind of walking down the path of giving each other our roses and our flowers and trying to, you know, applaud our excellence. I love that because we are such a beautiful people, man. But you know, we have our differences and our issues too.
And that's one of the things I loved about Versus, because to me, the world's kind of stopped and it forced us to appreciate our artists and what music does for us. But now it seems like since the pandemic has ended, we're back to the disrespect. And like, because one of the battles that we have to fight as Black people is society treats us like it's only 10 successful Black people. Like you got Michael Jordan, you got Denzel, and everybody else. Who is you? Like you only sold this many records. You only played this many years. So I think it's a remnant also of us having to learn, like you mentioned, to celebrate each other, learn from each other, and be inspired by one another versus being jealous, Ja Rule. That's what it is.
It's a lot of jealousy. You know, it's the one at a time mentality. You know, I don't know what it is, but we as a culture, we feel like, yo, it can only be one at a time. Nah, it should be a lot of us at a time winning and
correct.
You know, putting up wins. You know, and it's sad that we look at it like that, but you know, we're so competitive as a people. You know, but I think we really have to start having these deep conversations, Jalen. And it's going to come from us. It's going to come from strong Black brothers that don't they don't care what people think, if I have the conversation and say the real like, enough is enough, man. We got to stop killing each other as black men. That's whack. That's whack.
It is. It is. And it must stop immediately. And I applauded something you did recently, a couple of years ago. You put out a memoir and you acknowledged a lot of the struggles that you've overcome in your life and how it's made you stronger. What moments stick out to you that taught you the hardest lessons?
It had to be prison, going to prison and having everything stripped of you, and you become a number, and then you get a chance to kind of look outside of what that all was and what that is, and the reasons why you're actually in this predicament. That was very important for me to get that moment of clarity. When you're in prison, you really don't have many fingers to point. It's like, all right, you can say this, that, the third, this person did this, or this is the reason why. But the reality is you're here serving your time, and you got to figure out what in your life that you're doing wrong that brought this upon yourself.
Correct. Because you sit down by yourself, for sure.
You sit down by yourself. You do a lot of soul searching,
Yes.
And I was able to do that, and people cut themselves off too. They stop visiting. They don't write the letters. So it's easy to, when you come home, it's easy to trim the fat. But
right,
it was a very different spiritual learning moment for me. And I hope that people don't have to go through that. Traumatic experience to feel or see that kind of clarity in their lives. But Malcolm X, when I was in jail, I was reading the biography of Malcolm X, and he says something like that in the book. He said, the best place for a black man besides college and education, obviously, he said, was prison. And I didn't get that until I was actually there and got to understand what you can make of yourself when you behind the wall and you want to be a better person, you want to be a better man, so I kind of got that. I kind of gathered that,
and being better means doing better. And I want to applaud you because you recently donated your NFT proceeds to 5 HBCUs, and that is so dope. What was it like for you to give back to the black community in our culture on that level, based on all of the things that you've been able to achieve in your career?
I love it, Jalen. To me, that's one of the most important things. If we have success as young black men, we got to pay it forward, to those young black men and women coming after us. And so for me to be able to do that was important. It was dope. Education is one of the keys components to our success in our community. We can have the money, but if you ain't educated, the money will go faster than you got it. And so, that's important. And I want our black children to be proud to go to these HBCUs. So I know the donations weren't tremendous, but for me, this is a spark. This is the start of something.
Correct.
Big. CP3, holla at me. We tough. CP big on the HBCUs.
No doubt.
Stuff. And Coach Prime, I want to thank you. He's been amazing.
No doubt.
Working with me on this thing, and we got some money for Jackson as well. And so I'm just happy that I'm in this position to be able to do this. But like I said, education is the most important component to our communities, and I think by kids having that pride of saying I went to an HBCU, that's important. Another thing, I want these Fortune 500 companies to look at these programs and want our kids because they coming from the best programs.
Correct.
There's 107 HBCUs. You know what I'm saying? There's over 7,000 colleges. We should be special.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? We should be special.
Correct.
There should be a lot more funding going towards making our colleges special because they are special. And I want athletics to be those athletic programs because let me tell you something, Jalen. That's where the money comes from. You know what I'm talking about.
I definitely know.
And so you got 80% of the league that's black. All that money is coming from our backs, our sweat, our equity.
Literally.
So why is some of that money not going back to the HBCUs? Or why are kids so scared to go play at HBCUs? Those times are changing because now we got internet, we got, the scouts, y'all can go wherever. Go on to them HBCUs and go get them kids. Recruit these kids. Y'all come out of high schools and go to your black schools, man, and make that money for these schools. Let these schools be your alma maters. When you get out and make millions and millions of dollars on them contracts, send it back, man. Send some of that money back and build up these programs, these educational programs, the athletic programs. I get it. Who wants to go to a rinky-dink facility and play when you a top one athlete? I get it. Nobody. You know what I'm saying? So we have to be conscious of this and start building, for our own futures and our kids' futures, So I'm conscious and I'm working and I'm doing my part, Jalen.
You definitely
I would love to get all of y'all involved, man, because you know what this is, man. It's going to take a nation of millions to do what we're trying to do,
No doubt. I love that mentality and that approach that each one teach one. So I have to say, because there's so many young people out there and or adults of all age, and they're thinking about their goals and they're pondering their dreams. So I'll ask, what advice do you have for anyone who feels like their goals today aren't within their reach?
Keep reaching. You know what's crazy? Because I was just watching. There's a dope vidcast. I call them vidcasts on ICONN, but there's a dope vidcast that we do over there called Lyrics and Lattes, and where they take artists' lyrics and decipher everything and kind of break down what they're saying. And so
that's cool.
It's really, really cool. And they question you on the lyrics and stuff, which is cool. So I was actually going through one of the interviews that I did with them, and we were talking about perseverance and building and I was saying, it was a dope Will Smith quote. And I'm not sure if it's his quote, but I heard him say it and I was like, that's so true. But he was like, every great thing is on the other side of fear. Success, your greatest success is on the other side of fear. So when you get to that moment, that wall that you hit, when you feel like, damn, I've taken it as far as I can go, maybe this isn't the thing for me, that is your moment of truth where you must push forward through that wall, because on the other side of that is your success.
Yes.
And, you'll know when it's right and you'll know when it's wrong. And that's the thing about, pushing through. You know when you can't do no more. Physically as an athlete, when you're pushing through with an injury, when it's like, okay, I can't do but so much more. As artists, we also, feel like I've done everything that I can do to get there, but there's always that one little bit of push that you can give that gets you to that next level, and then you say, damn, this is why we play the game. You know what I'm saying? And so, I encourage people, man, to just keep pushing forward, man. It's not an easy thing to do,
Absolutely. And I appreciate that encouragement, but I also want to acknowledge one of your current entrepreneurial pursuits, your ICONN app.
Yeah.
An upcoming concert with the legendary Big Daddy Kane. We need Scoop and Scrap. Are they going to be there? We need Scoop. Are they going to be there?
I can't tell. I can't say nothing.
You know what I'm saying?
You got to, listen, if you in town,
I got to come rap.
Let me tell you, it's a sexy night, man. It's grown up hip hop. They do their live albums, suited and booted, dinner, drinks, live band. It's sexy, yo. Telling the stories behind the music. It's sexy, man. I did the first one. I did my Pain is Love album. Raekwon and Ghost did Only Built for Cuban Links, the second one. Yo, I'm Jalen, these are a vibe. It's the title. It's a vibe,
dope.
Yo.
This is so smart.
Ghostface and Ray is in there singing, come on and go with me. Come on over to my place. I'm doing spot rushes over. Yo, I'm telling you, it's a vibe, yo. This classic man. You know, I
Oh,
love creating those hip hop moments, man. But this is what it goes back to us saying, giving these artists their flowers, man. Letting people
correct.
know this is where it all started, man. These are the dudes that made me want to rhyme, man. These are my heroes. Big
No
Daddy
doubt.
Kane, he's the first. He was like the first sexy rap. He's, you
No
know what I'm
doubt.
saying? He's like
No
he's the
doubt.
reason why really wanted to wear jewelry, the 4-finger rings, the rope.
Mhm.
I'm telling you, Kane did it different than all the rest.
Ain't no
And
hair on my
so,
chest, but I'm one tough cookie.
you hear me? You hear
You
me?
know, you know, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? He was not playing. And the
You
other
know what I'm
thing,
saying?
but the other thing, and this is why I loved Run DMC so very much, the legends, who the icons, the GOATs, is because not only did they give us the bars and the style, but they also gave us the fashion. Like you said, Jam Master
Exactly.
Jay, from his
Exactly.
background, he went to Russell, he went to Run DMC. I know this story. He was like, we ain't
Yep.
wearing that.
We
It was
ain't
almost like the
wearing that.
Locks
Word
and
to
Bad
mother.
Boy. Like, we ain't wearing that.
We ain't doing that.
Like, we not doing that. And so,
Yeah.
like, to watch artists go from like freestyling in the street and Sylvia Robinson bringing it to wax to now you guys being used like poetry. That's what I always like. DMX did it. When I saw DMX do, I was like, oh my God, it was incredible
Yeah.
to watch
Yeah.
you guys like do your art in a different form. So what is it like for you to not only express yourself in that form, but to see these great artists be able to express themselves in that form?
Yo, it's the dopest. First of all, you know, when I first, you know, hit Ray and Ghost, now I know Ray and Ghost personally. I know they fly. I know they love the old school records, the whole, you know, the vibe. We kick it, we brothers, so I know this. But when I'm talking to management, they like, good luck getting them in a suit. Good luck doing this. I'm like, listen, I'm like, that was the easiest part. Like,
Exactly.
So I just love, being a part of this culture, man, because these moments for me are so special, man. It's like, these are my heroes, man. I tell them, I let them know, man, like I grew up on y'all, man. Y'all are my heroes, man. And to
That's
be able to
dope.
work with y'all to this capacity and to give y'all flowers on this stage is amazing for me. And I thank them all for being a part of my Vibes concert series. You know, Big Daddy Kane is September 28th. He's doing Long Live the Kane album. It's going to be out of this world. My next two vibes after that are going to be amazing. I don't want to, talk about them yet. This is Kane's time. We're going to talk Kane.
Yep, no doubt.
But it's been really, really dope, man. It's been really, really dope.
So what do you expect the ICONN app? Congratulations on your entrepreneurial suit. Make sure y'all download this ICONN app.
Yes,
what
it's
do
in the
you
Apple
expect?
App Store right now. You can get it. ICONN with 2 N's live. Yeah.
ICONN, make sure y'all go support Ja Rule. And again, I meant what I said. Thank you for everything you've contributed to our culture, past, present, and future.
Thank
you.
You
deserve all of the best. And before I let you get out of here, though, I got a rapid fire segment called Gone in 60 Seconds. You ready to do this?
All right, let's do it. I love it.
This is going to be controversial. Out of your 7 studio albums, which one would you say you're the most proud of?
Ooh. That's tough, man. It would be a toss-up. Damn, that's so tough. Because Vinny, you got to understand something. My first album, Vinny Vedi Vici, is so special because that's my whole life up until that moment put into that album.
No doubt.
Like, that's everything that I've lived in my young lifetime into that album. All of the hustle, the struggle, the pain, the everything. And then, my second album, Rule 336, was like my transformation into artistry. I feel like it becoming a real artist, understanding what it's like to make records, create, in that environment. So it's tough. And then Pain is Love was my biggest album, but and one of my favorites. So it's tough, but I'm gonna go with Vinny Vedi Beach.
What's your go-to food spot in New York City?
I would probably say I love Asian, Japanese infused. So I love like Philippe Chow's and Say Less, and those menus, Julan Club, those menus work for me.
Absolutely. I remember when Philippe Chow first opened, I used to go there often. And I'm friends with Cypher Sound. And I'll never forget when we started tasting that sauce to go with that lobster. He was basically drinking the sauce. It's so good.
That lobster sauce is crazy.
It's so good. I think we mentioned the name of the person who's the next answer to this question, but I'll ask it anyway. Name an up-and-coming musical artist that everyone should know about.
Up and coming music. Oh, Simba. Yeah, we mentioned that brother. Yeah, that brother is real. Bars is still matter. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And Simba's bringing it on every level, man. Big shout to Simba and the whole crew, what they doing out there, man. Love it, love it, love it.
Absolutely. Last but certainly not least, what are your next big goals for ICONN Media?
What's crazy is, I'm kind of pivoted into ICONN original content now. So, we're going into the Apple TV store, and you'll be able to subscribe to ICONN original content, $4.99 subscription based, like Netflix or whatever, Peacock, Zeus Network, whatever but ICONN original content like my Vibes concert series you'll be able to watch, and Laughing It Up, which is my comedy series. It's like the new Def Comedy Jam kind of show that I'm bringing to the table. You're gonna love it. Other shows like One Hit Wonders, and just a lot of stuff that I'm creating for the platform. I think you guys are gonna really enjoy. So,
well, all love and blessings, my brother. I appreciate you taking the time. I'm definitely coming to represent at the concert series. I need to see this. I need to see this. This is crazy.
It's a movie, baby. It's a movie. We do it live at Sony Hall. So if you're in New York, Jalen, I would love to accommodate you and your people.
Yes.
Come through.
Yes. Yeah. I appreciate you, my brother. All love.